In today's video, we're going to fit our double-din radio into our Fiat Abarth. Hey everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the vlog. And today we're going to be taking the or putting double-din into the Abarth. But before we do that, I need to take the car from MOT, because for some reason this car does not have an MOT, and it could be because it had the old registration plate, it had a private plate on there, but I've checked that and it doesn't seem to come up. So when I try to tax the car, there's no MOT. So I've got it booked in for an MOT. I'm going to drop it up there today, and hopefully it's going to pass, and then we can get the double-din fitted and drive the car, because I've got the V5 now. So let's go and do that. Let's get the car over to our MOT station, but before we do that, I've got to take off the old number plate and fit the new one, so I'm going to do that right now. We need to get rid of that, replace it with this. I think that's stuck on though. Yep, definitely stuck on. So actually we've got the screws in, so we should just be able to use the original screws and screw them back into place. So let's crack on and do that. That'll do. Okay, so I'm back from the MOT station, and unfortunately the car failed, but it only failed on a simple little thing. The lambda sensor had failed, so I'm going to get a replacement lambda sensor later on today, but in the meantime I'm going to fit the double-din into the car, so I'm going to do that right now. And I found something very interesting I'm going to show you. So that interesting thing is that this car actually supports ISO. I've taken the radio out already. To take the radio out, you use the old U-clips, and I'll show you them later on. I'll do it in reverse for you because I got a little bit ahead of myself and started dismantling this before I started to film it. So anyway, these are my connectors. Now these are actually ISO connectors. If you recall, I got this little kit which is a converter. Now this is for certain models of the 500 range and the Abarth range, the early models. Now this is a 2013 model, and so for some reason it uses the ISO connectors, which means this is useless, can't use this, so I need to send that back. But I did some research, and what I found that this connector, although it is ISO, it is an ISO standard, it doesn't support either A or B ISO standard. And the reason being, if I can show you, is here. So on the back here you've got two wires. You've got your black and this green and red cable. That green and red cable is the main power. Now if you look at my ISO connector here, this is ISO connector A. We've got our black wire and our red wire there, you see at the top, but our feed cable, so that's the one that stays on all the time, and that provides memory, or it provides power to your radio, so that the memory will remain. So when you preset your radio stations and the time and all the rest of it, that's what keeps it alive. On ISO A, it's just below the black. However, if you look on here, the black has nothing underneath it. So I got my multimeter out because I called up a specialist, and he said you have to run another power cable to ignition. But I thought, well, actually, do you really need to do that? Because if you look at the standard radio, also does the same, so it must be getting power from somewhere else, and that power is actually from this white cable here, and that white cable is positioned underneath the power cable, the red and green that you can see here. I hope you can see that. So just underneath that is the feed cable. So my multimeter, I can't show you that now because I've got the camera in my hand. So what it means is I'm going to have to move this yellow cable to underneath where that red cable is, and then that will provide me with my feed, and it means I don't have to do any other cable modification. So I'm going to do that now, and I'm going to try and show you how you do that with these. It's very simple, and on the bottom here there is a little slot. You can stick a very thin screwdriver, and that very thin screwdriver that I'm using is this here, and then you push it out and then it will pull the yellow cable out. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so we've got our cables all plugged up now. If you're wondering what this is, this cable here is for the steering wheel remote controls. We're not going to be using that at this stage. At some point we may consider wiring these in. And then these cables here are additional cables that we can use. So we got power cable, we've got our steering wheel, various bits, parking brake, rear parking. Essentially they're additional cables, so they're not essential for us to run the stereo at this stage. But now that we've got this in, I'm going to get the head unit, we're going to plug it in, and then we're going to see if we can get it to power up. Okay, we're going to come back to the wiring, but for now what we're going to do, just so that we make sure we don't run out of daylight, is we're going to take out all of this unit here. I'm going to show you that. I'm not going to time lapse it. I'm going to do it in real time so you can see what you need to do, and then we can fit the double DIN in. Now the first thing that you need to do is, there's a couple of screws here and there's two in here. So this is the original cage that comes with the standard car, and then there's two inner screws that we need to remove. So I'm going to get my screwdriver kit that I have in my S8 toolbox, and then we're going to start taking those apart. I'm going to use my screwdriver rather than my power gun because these screws look delicate and I don't want to destroy them. Okay, so once you get the screws out, that's 4 screws, then you need to get, there's a bolt that sits in the back. So we get our ratchet, it's a 13mm bolt. So we're going to get that in there. And then we should be able to take that out. Okay, right, so there's your bolt, and then once that's out, we should just be able to pull the unit out, and that should come out. So that's the original radio, and then we need to remove the air vents, the original air vents. And now that we've removed the 2 securing screws, and there's only 2 screws that you need on this, this should just pull out. There you go. And that comes out intact. Good, right. So I'll show you what you should be left inside with. So we now have our, just inside here, our original vents. So those are our 2 vents that the original vents. We're going to remove those because we have to put in some modified ones, and that's going to allow us to put our double DIN in place. So we'll do that in a minute. I'm just going to bring down all the venting kit, and then we will remove this bit, getting it ready for the double DIN cage. Okay, so this is where things get really interesting now, because these vents that you can see here, they're permanently mounted. According to the kit, it says that I have to cut them, and to cut them I need to offer up the new cage, and the new cage has been offered up, you can see it there. And then I then have to put these paddles in place, which will then divert the air. Now the paddles look like this. So let me do the cut. I'm going to use my trusty multi-tool that has never let me down to do the cut, and then we're going to take a look and see what that looks like. Okay, so we've put the two flaps in place, and actually they fit pretty well. So these are the flaps that you fit in, and then literally they tuck in, they fit the aperture that you've cut out, and then bolt, and then there's a little clip here, and then that actually clips into the bottom of the housing and sits quite secure in place, and basically snugs up to the original outlet, and so that will divert the air as required. You can see it there, you just see it there you are. And though it looks small, it's quite a large opening, and that fits perfectly with the, there you are, that's better, fits perfectly with the housing, or the front part, which is here. See those two holes? So they fit in like that, and then they sits really nicely and sucks in to those holes there, one there and one on the other side. Okay, so what we need to do now is just stick the cage in place, and then we can screw the cage in, and then we just need to sort out the wiring. Okay, so we're back at the workbench, and I've taken the frame back out, and the reason why is because when I had this in the car, I did a test fit with a radio, and this fits over this frame like this. Now in the car you can see that it fits right up to the edge here. Okay, that's a bit of a problem, because if I take this off, the radio has an overhang of about 10 mil, which means that when you put this on top, there's a gap, and this doesn't fit flush in the dash. Plus, these side angles here, which bolt into the side frame of the car, it doesn't allow me to push this further back. And although it does have about another inch to go back in the actual aperture of the car. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut these frames off, and I'm actually going to cut the front of the radio as well, because this is a basically it's an OEM. It's not even an OEM. It's a general universal fitting case, and when it sits into the aperture, it's firmly in place. If you remember, the one that's in there is a single din, and the single din, with this in place, it rattles around. So what Fiat have done is they've bolted it to the back of the case to keep it sturdy, and also they've bolted the side as well, because it doesn't have, or it does have these on the original, but they don't hold the radio rigid, if that makes sense. Whereas this, when it's in the aperture, it sits snug at the top and snug at the bottom, and it's not going anywhere. So if I cut the sides off here, it's going to allow me to push this further back, and by cutting off the front here, and it's going to be a rough cut, I'm literally going to cut that edge off there and then leave that back bit exposed. That should allow me to be able to push it back enough for this to fit in properly, because this actually sits into the plastic trim. It doesn't bolt to this at all. It sits in a plastic trim, and without this in place, this locks into place absolutely fine. So So yeah, by cutting this off, this should allow me to be able to get the radio to fit in snug, and I can also control the depth of how far I need the radio to go back to allow this to sit snug into the set. So I'm going to do that, but I'm going to do it off camera because it's, yeah, I'll just do it off camera and you'll see the results after.
Moments later.
Okay, so we've just cut off the top, so we've literally cut off a frame of about 10 mil all the way around, and we've taken off those little side angles that we mentioned, and then I've just rounded it off with my sonic file from my toolbox from the S9. So this is now ready to go back into the car, and then hopefully we should be able to get the A6, the A-Toto head unit in, and this front without any further difficulties. Let's take a look. Okay, so we're back in the car and we've got our A6, and what I've done, I've fitted it into the chassis, so you can see what I mean. These are the bits that I've cut off, and I've taken it right up to the edge there now, and I've cut across there. And yes, I know it's not a precision cut, I did it with an angle grinder. So, and this bit you will not see, so for all you guys out there who suffer from OCD, get over it. So, but that's now in as far as it needs to go, and what I've done, these are the securing arms I'm going to use, but I can now flex that back and forward to allow me to get in deeper. Now, what I was talking about with the actual grill, so this is not held, like I was trying to explain in the garage, this bit is not held by this bit. Okay, they're two separate bits. This is basically, you got some clips on the inside, and that clips in to here like that. Okay, so that's totally independent and fits flush into the aperture like that. All right, so once that's in place, literally it comes out, but you got to give it a pull like you would any of this other trim here. If I pull that, there's a couple of bolts there that need to be undone, but essentially it'll pop out. That's exactly what this is designed to do as well. So it's important that this fits in independently in place as it is here. Okay, so there you go. So we are ready now to get this in place and to see how this looks. So let's wire up our unit. I'll test it first to make sure that the unit comes on and works, and then we'll get it in place and see how it looks. I almost forgot, I also have to put in place the USB, the microphone, wireless adapter, and the GPS. So I need to put those in to there first. Okay, we better do that then, haven't we? Okay, so we've got all our cables connected, and I've got all the battle scars to show it as well. So, we've got our cables through, I say, routed. So what we need to do now is just connect everything up into the, oh, there's one thing I forgot. Yep, so in the back here I need to get an extension for the aerial, because this aerial is a standard one for the Fiat, which has the protruding aerial socket. So I'll go and get one of those in a second. Well, what I need to do is let's connect everything up and see and make sure it all works, and then we can make sure that everything, well, make sure it all works. So this is the USB. I've got two USB connectors down the end there. So this just plugs into the USB plug on the back there, like so. Then we have our GPS. That connects to the GPS, all color coded, so very simple. Just literally plug it in, and there we go. So that's the GPS. And then the next one is our Wi-Fi, and that allows me to connect to the unit using Wi-Fi. So yep, so plugged in. That is everything. I've also got a USB-A connector, so I can connect a USB in there. But that's everything plugged in, and as you can see, our head is already booted up. So I'm just going to rest. I'm going to pull the cables in properly in a second, but for now we can see that it is on. It is definitely on. And it's got them actually. Let's plug it in. Okay, little minor issue with the power, but I think we've sorted it now, so it's working, and I think we should be able to fix this. I need to run a couple more cables, but we'll do that at a later date. Now the goal is just to get this up and running, then I'm going to show you some of the features. Okay, so let's get this plugged in. I'm going to put the vents in, and then we'll see this in its finished and assembled state. Okay, so it's in, and if you notice, I haven't put the vents on, and the reason why I haven't put these vents on up there is because I'm going to take this out again, because I need to hardwire an ignition live. So really what I wanted to do is just show you how it looks like with the in place. So it's all in place, nice and flush. We got our air vents here, so these are our replacement air vents. And then this unit at the moment is connected to my Wi-Fi. I've got Wi-Fi in my garage, so it's busy doing some updating, but I can go online with this, and I can also connect up my music directly. So I pick my device, and then I can connect my device via the USB, and I've got two USBs here that I'm going to eventually feed round to where the Blue Me originally was installed. So I'm going to make some kind of connection in there. But yeah, this unit, I must say, I am really impressed with the way this unit works. I'm going to play some music now. So we've got my micro SD card. Let's just stick that in, and let's see what we can hear. So in that goes. Okay, so that's in, and we're going to play some music just to hear what it sounds like in the car. So got 2 tracks already. Let's just crank that up. Now this is, you can hear the music in the background, just slightly hear it. And before you get worried, this is music from Epic Sound, which I have a subscription for. So I pay for my subscription so I can use it in my YouTube videos. But this device here has gesture. It's got a gesture sensor, so just in the front here, I'll probably mention that to you, gesture. And this is how it works. I'm going to turn the volume up when I get the right angle. It's pretty good, isn't it? And the music connected to the standard Abarth speakers sounds really good. I am really impressed with the sound on this unit. Now, when I've had a unit before, let's just pause that. Look at that. And it pauses really nice. I actually really like this unit. It's just, well, it's brilliant. Let's try another track. So this is what I normally use when I introduce my new cars. Let's crank it up. And the gesture control works really well, as you can see. And I just love the way it just fades out there. So obviously it's using the Android OS operating system, which means you can download various different Android apps. You can connect it to your Google account, as I have, and like I said, it's got Wi-Fi, so I can connect this. I can basically connect it to my phone, and then I can just tether it and get data as and when I need to. Out of the box, it comes with quite a few different apps. Yeah, it's pretty good. So I am very impressed. It also has can also do TPMS, so I can set it up to work with the car. I haven't, obviously, because I've just put this in place. But in terms of what it has as a standard feature set, it's really good. And then the gestures, I can actually set the gestures that I want. So you can turn various bits and pieces on. So if I want to go home, at the moment home is not set up, but if I turn it on, so home is like that. So let's turn it on. I can. Nope, I can't. That's what happens when you don't read a manual. I'll read a manual, then we'll see how we go. But yeah, so really impressed with that, really. This unit, you can, if you're interested in buying this whole setup for your Fiat, you can see it on my my Amazon page, car support, and you'll be able to see it there and order it as you want. Must say, this here is quite expensive. It's about £122, so it's not cheap. I'm going to see if I can find another one, but it is pretty good for what it does in terms of setup, although it probably could be a little better in the sense that the cage is universal and you saw what I had to do to get it to fit. Nevertheless, it's working, and it looks a lot better than the standard OEM unit that you get with the 500s. I'm sure you agree. And with the fact that I'm able to integrate it with my phones, makes this a really good setup. And with this, the A-Toto head, you can also add external cameras. I can make it dim with the lights when I eventually get that sorted, and I will get that sorted, probably get it all sorted next week. I can plug in an auxiliary cable. It's got, as you saw in the last video, it also has phono connection, so I can connect an amp on. But the sound as standard sounds really good, and I'm really impressed with that. So very good buy. And of course it comes with the GPS and the Wi-Fi as well, so I can use various different mapping software, and yeah, so nothing more to say to that other than the fact that I'm impressed with this. Really good unit. And like I said, I'm not being sponsored by A-Toto, but in terms of the unit, it's really great. Okay, so that's it from this car this week. Car's coming along just fine. Next week's video, or the midweek's video, I'm going to have a general car update. So I'm going to tell you about the A4, because some of you have been asking me whether it's gone or not. So I'm going to give you an update on that. This car, he's going to be going back for his MOT second retest. I've got to change the lambda sensor, so I'll show you that, where they are on these cars, because they're a little bit challenging to do in this car. I'm also going to put a new set of plugs on, because when I ran it through the old OBD 2 connector, it was telling me that number 4. Now it could be a coil pack, so I might just order a coil pack just to be on the safe side as well. But I'm going to change the plugs because I think it needs it. So yeah, and we'll get the radio wired in properly, and I'll show you some other features that I found on the car when I've been playing with it. Really impressed with that. A-Toto, really good sound system. So yeah, so that's it. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the installation of this radio, and that it's inspired you to do the same in your car. And if it has, don't forget to subscribe down below and give us a thumbs up. And also press that bell notification if you're seeing this for the first time, so that you can become a regular vlogger. So yeah, so have a good week, and we will see you midweek. Oh, one thing before we go, don't forget, I've had quite a few questions for the Q&A. The Q&A is going to be on the 19th of December. So if you still want to give us a question, put in the comments down below, Q&A, ask your question, and then we'll have a major session and go through all those questions that I've been asked. And quite a few have come in, so thank you for that. For those who have sent some stuff, I'm going to look forward to that vlog. And once again, Wednesday, be a general car update. And I'll show you a car that I was bidding on as well. So yeah, that'll be interesting. So have a good week, guys, and we will see you maybe on Thursday. Yeah, it'll be Thursday. Have a good week.